Yeah, it's interesting from a business perspective that if you look at how a lot of businesses run, they don't run on logic, they run on emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And an example to understand this is purchasing power. Why do people buy things? Um, and as I said in an interview recently, people buy shit because it makes them feel better. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's usually temporary. You know, they buy something and they get some kind of chemical release in their brain for a short period of time that makes them feel good, but it almost instantly disappears because it's not real satisfaction or happiness. And so a lot of what we do is driven by this um, emotional emotional purpose. And it's slightly more true for women than it is for men, just because men have that fact-based, number-orientated, scientific, we build computers approach, and women have that um, organic, love to be with children, I'm a natural caregiver side to themselves. So, of course, it does cross over, but um, men and women have obvious differences for obvious reasons in a lot of cases, and I think we've all seen examples of where we've seen a woman who has more male characteristics or a man who has more female characteristics, and it's just not quite right. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with men being emotional and vulnerable, and there's nothing wrong with women being strong characters. Um, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that um, men and women are fundamentally different, and that's a positive thing that they're different um, because it's part of the yin and the yang and the balance of everything. Um, I believe in a holistic approach, and if you look at the holistic approach, I think that you could almost say that women are the other side of men and men are the other side of women, so that
Mm-hmm.
for humanity to survive, it's an inseparable concept. So when you get media, schools, and other organizations promoting the fact did you know there are 17 different kinds of genders? It's like, fuck that shit. I mean, that's just
All
completely insane.
17.
Well, what does it mean? Well, it's if you look at a lot of universities are banning the terms he and she because students are getting offended by this. Yeah, because and a lot of for example, self-registration forms now have male, female, or other as their
Yes.
selections. And it's like male, female, other. It's like, are you so completely fucked up you don't know if you're A or B, right? Um, and that's, um, I respect people's choices, so I'm not taking that away from them. But let's not make insanity the norm because, when madness becomes the norm, everything good disappears very quickly. You know, when you
It's
start, but yeah,
crazy.
when you start believing in magic, right? Shit gets fucked up, right? Seriously. When you start believing in magic, it's like I'll just wave my magic wand and I'll have a castle, but I'll just wave my magic wand and create a new gender term. Da da da, and it's it's wild. It's very wild. And it's just an example of the fact that everything can go too far, right? You can go too far left and and replace freedom with everything is okay, and you can go too far right and replace security means that everyone has to live in a prison of some kind. So so the once again the balance is important, but um, all you have to do is look back through history at the positive trends to understand what the right thing to do is, really. Um, so, well, what was the point of that? I'm not quite sure. Something about Skype.
How do
Um,
yeah, yes.
Emotional
Mhm.
connections to things. Yeah. Well, let me share something with you. I absolutely hate using a telephone. Right?
All right.
I absolutely hate it. In fact, um, I make a, I only make a call if it's a life and death situation. Otherwise, I just don't call. And if someone needs to contact me, I don't care, right? Because they want something, not me, right? So
Mhm.
I respect the fact that people want to communicate, and my approach is, send me a text message or write me an email or something, and I will be very happy to communicate. Um, but
We can text you.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and that's the way that I work. And also there's also there's a lot of practicality to it as well. If you look at most successful business people, they use their phone very little because the phone is more a distraction than a
Mhm.
method of getting things done. It creates as many problems as it does solutions. So this realization about whether your actions are creating solutions or just creating more problems to solve is very important. Um, and so the thing I wanted to share is that I have a the reason why I don't like the phone is I have a very strong emotional connection to it, and I don't know why.
Mhm.
Somewhere at some point in time something happened connected with that principle of calls in my past to make me absolutely hate or fear using it. And I still don't know what it is today. I still have to find out what that is. I still don't know. It's lost. It will come eventually.
It will.
Eventually,
Mm.
it will be obvious what it is. I've got some ideas about what it is, but I still don't know exactly. But I understand that there's an emotional connection there. That it's not rational to not like something. It'd be like, I really don't like pens. Well, it's kind of a bit weird. So obviously there's something else going on there. So yeah, where we know, understanding that there is a problem is the first step to finding a solution to the problem. So so that's
Mm.
it's always um, it's always the beginning. It always begins that way. It always begins with, you've seen it in all the films. It always begins with somebody has a feeling that something is not quite right, and that begins the process of solutions to problems, which might be the reason for somebody going through somebody else's Skype messages.
Mhm.
Here's the point. There is nobody on this planet who knows more about what you do and why you do it than you. Because there's nobody on this planet that knows more about the logic, the processes, the sense, and the nonsense that is in your head than you. Yeah? So there's nobody who knows more. And
Mhm.
um, whatever, and here's the point: whatever we tell ourselves is right, because we can convince ourselves of everything, because that's the only way to survive and live and go forward. It's the way that we exist as human beings. So when you tell yourself, I don't know why I did it, now that might pass with your friends, that might wash with your family, that might be okay elsewhere, but in my world, where I live,
Mhm.
I don't actually believe that you don't know. I just believe that you don't want to ask yourself the question because the answer might be something that's a little bit uncomfortable to uncover. Does that make sense?
Absolutely does.
Absolutely does. Okay. And it's not something that's not logical. So why would anybody go through anybody else's information, laptop, check their data, check their information? There's only two basic reasons. Number one, you don't trust them at all, really, and number two, you've had a really negative past experience, which makes you extremely careful and cautious about everything that happens. You need to double, triple check everything just to verify. Now, I don't know which one it is because it's about you, not me.
Mhm.
But you do. You know. You know. You know which one it is. So which one is it?